Look at you. Look at how huge you are. And this serious face. If you could only see his serious face right now, because he wants to be here, but he doesn't want to be held. And his face is just priceless. So, I love you. Okay, anyways. Hey everyone, this is Siren and welcome back to the channel. On today's video I'm going to be talking about some of my tarot goals for this year, for 2025. And yeah, some of these goals are actually probably going to extend to more years to come. So yeah, but we will get into that. So for now, make yourself comfortable, grab yourself some nice hot beverage or a cat, and let's get into the video. Okay, so after a little bit of a different type of intro than I normally do, my cat decided he's just gonna sit right in front of me and look at me. So, hot beverage it is for the rest of the video. I think I'm not going to be forcing him to be on camera anymore. He really doesn't like that. But anyways, I still wanted to show you how beautiful he is. So, you're welcome. Okay, my tarot goals for 2025. So, as I mentioned, some of these goals are actually pretty extended, and I don't really think there's something that I can just like check out of the list, sort of. Also, I'm not really a person who does make lists of resolutions. New Year resolutions, I don't like that very much, but I do like to have some sort of focus points, something I want to either start on some given year or something I want to like dive deeper into, maybe stuff like that. Alright, so let's begin with the goal number 1 that I set for myself for this year, and it is actually something I used to do, but then I sort of stopped for whatever reason, and I would really like to bring it back to my life, and it is daily 1 card pulls. Yeah. It is as simple as that. I used to be this person who used to pull a tarot card or an oracle card, but speaking about tarot right now and tarot practice, I used to be the person who would pull 1 card every morning. Sometimes I would journal about it, sometimes I would just pull a card, think about it, and then sort of refer back to it throughout the day when I needed to do that. But I don't know exactly what happened, and I just stopped doing that. Every now and then I still do. I would still do that, but not on a daily basis. And if I think about it, pulling 1 card on a daily basis, either in the morning or in the evening, I'm going to get into that in a minute, used to be really helpful for me. And I would really like to bring that quality back into my life, because I think it's very enriching and I really want to get into habit of doing that again. So as I previously mentioned, it can be either the morning pull or the evening pull. The morning pull is usually something that can give you the focus for the day. This is how I used to approach that. So I would pull a card, something to focus on, something to keep my mind on, something to pull my energy into on a given day, and it really did make a difference in my days. So it's either that, or it can also be an evening pull, depending how I am with time. Evening pull for me is a little bit of a different, it has a little bit of a different character, different flavor to it, a little bit of a different vibe to it is what I'm trying to say. So evening pull for me is something to reflect on. So rather, obviously I'm about to sleep, so it's not something I'm going to be focusing on while I sleep, but it is rather something that I reflect on, something that might have happened the given day, something that, just related a card to the day and reflect on it. Or I would even use it as, okay, just give me the topic to reflect on, something to meditate upon and just spend a little time thinking about. So I found that practice extremely helpful, and it was very good for myself, and I really want to bring that back. So that would be the goal number 1. Following up, I have a goal that is strongly tied to the first goal, and it is that I would like to start journaling about my tarot readings a bit more. Because I actually always tell people that it's so good to journal about tarot, and it is. And I know that some people struggle with it because it's also sometimes a little bit, I don't want to say boring, but sometimes taking the journal out and writing about your reading, it can feel like a lot, you know? There are simply times that you just want to shuffle your deck, just pull some cards and don't do much else, just sit with the cards without doing anything else, and it's perfectly okay, and I do that myself. But I still do think that journaling is extremely helpful and enriching practice, and I used to journal a lot when I'm doing the bigger readings or more important readings, meaning, for instance, there is a topic that's extremely important to me and I really want to remember what the reading was about. So I do the reading and I journal about it. Or there is an eclipse happening, or there is a new moon, full moon, stuff like that. On these events, in these instances, I tend to journal a lot about given readings, and I also tend to do a little bit bigger readings in those moments, or in these situations, rather. However, when it comes to daily pulse, for example, or some more of a random tarot readings that I do for myself, I must admit I became a little bit lazy in that regard and I don't journal about it as much anymore. So in addition to my first goal, so doing more daily pulse, I also want to be journaling about my daily pulse a little bit more, because as I mentioned in some of my videos, I don't remember which one, but I think I said that when you actually journal about a given card or a given reading, sometimes it can allow your mind to go further into the topic, or you just, in my experience, you tap into your subconscious mind a little bit more than when you just stare at the card, because once you start writing, new ideas sort of pop in your head, or at least this was my experience. So also something I want to definitely bring back and be better at. And don't be so lazy anymore. So just being real here, yeah, I stopped doing a lot of things that were good for me. So you can also always choose to bring stuff back that was good for you at some point. So there is that. Next up, I would really like to get more into studying the classics, and by classics I mean Rider-Waite-Smith. Side note, no, I still do not own the Rider-Waite-Smith copy, I still do not like it. However, I do enjoy researching the deck and learning about it in different ways. Then the Thought and Marseille. So as you know, I got a Thought deck copy earlier this year and I fell in love with it immensely. And I also got the Marseille copy, which I did not fall in love with immensely. It's actually pretty ugly, but I really do want to get more into knowing these decks and these systems. So this interest actually began last year when I got the Thought deck, and I started thinking also about Marseille, since also the Thought deck is a pip deck, and this is kinda how I got into thinking about Marseille as well. It would be really interesting to read and research about these systems. So I actually got a few books on the way. I'm super excited about that. I ordered a couple of really classic tarot books that I'm super excited to read and study those decks alongside this book, so there's that. And yeah, it just makes me overall super happy and excited and emotional, so I just really wanted to share that with you. I have a disclaimer to say though. If you are a tarot beginner watching this video, hey, hello, welcome to the channel, I want to tell you that I do not really recommend diving into 3 different tarot systems at once. The reason why I decided to do this is because I already have some sort of base tarot knowledge. You know, I've been reading tarot for a few years, so I do know the tarot, right? I'm familiar with tarot, I'm familiar with all 78 cards, and as I mentioned a couple of times, I'm mostly familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith system, which is the one that is probably the most popular in the it is the most globally popular and accepted one, I would say. That would be the word, because Marseille is also popular, but it's not as accepted because it's a pip deck. But anyway, I was saying, if you are a tarot beginner or someone who is just interested in tarot but you don't really know much about it, I would strongly suggest picking one system to start with. The majority of people is going to tell you pick Rider-Waite-Smith because, as I mentioned, it is the most globally accepted one. It is the one you are going to see in every movie, etc. However, since I am me, I'm going to tell you pick whatever system you like. Now these three systems, Rider-Waite-Smith, Thoth and Marseille, are not the only three tarot systems. There are actually more decks that follow kind of a different sort of patterns, and then there are indie decks that are completely their own thing. But these three systems are kind of like most famous ones. And I really do believe that you can pick whichever you like. If you pick Marseille, Marseille is a pip deck. It can seem a little bit more difficult to learn tarot with, but I wouldn't say it's more difficult because there are plenty of resources about Marseille decks. So you can pick Marseille system, you can get yourself a Marseille deck and get yourself books on Marseille tarot, and you're going to learn tarot just fine. And also same with the Thoth deck. It is just a little bit more stigmatized. There is more stigma around it because Crowley made it, and Aleister Crowley is a controversial person, but if you kind of manage to put him aside and look at the deck as, okay, this is the deck, you can still work with it just fine, and you're gonna be fine. Also, you don't have to be scared of Thoth deck. Okay, I don't know if it's still a thing, if people are still scared of Thoth decks, but don't be. Okay, there is no reason to be scared of that deck. Alright, so that was a little bit of a long disclaimer, but I just really wanted to say that if you are a tarot beginner and you sort of get books on all these three tarot systems, it might be a bit confusing. So just pick one and go with one at start, and then when you have some sort of tarot knowledge and tarot experience, then you can go further with it. Something I'm doing right now. So yay! Something else I want to say is that I really do believe that tarot is something that you are just never quite done learning, and I can say that because you might think you know everything, even though if you think you know everything about tarot, I don't know, I think it is a little bit of an arrogant thing to say, and I really do not like to be an arrogant person, so I will not say that I know everything about tarot. I know tarot to a certain extent, and I'm just really excited to know more about tarot. And what I want to say before another thought just popped in my head is that funny thing is, you might think you know everything about tarot, and then you get a deck like I got, El Gran Tarot Esotérico, which, if you do not know which deck I'm talking about, go ahead and watch my video called Decks I Got in Latin America. I'm linking it somewhere up, never know which side, because that tarot just challenges your entire tarot knowledge, or what you think you know about tarot. Go ahead, watch that video and you will know what I'm talking about. So basically, I just want to enrich my tarot knowledge this year, and I want to do that through the classic decks and the books on these decks. And again, I'm super excited. I just have to say it again because I'm just so happy and excited about this. Then, since I already mentioned my newest strange deck, El Gran Tarot Esotérico, this year I would like to get to know it a little bit better, as well as my other new strange deck. I like to call them my lovely couple of strange decks. It is El Gran Tarot Esotérico and El Tarot del Dios de los Tres. These two tarot decks are made and printed in Spain. They are in Spanish, I think. No, I think El Tarot del Dios de los Tres also has English names on the cards. I'm not sure right now, and I'm I'm looking at those decks on the shelf like I could see through them, and I'm really lazy to grab them. I didn't want to bring decks to this particular video, but don't worry, I'm going to bring these decks again. For now, go ahead and watch the Decks I Got in Latin America video. There you can have some glimpse on some of those weird cards. So, back to the topic. I would really like to get to know these decks a little bit better. However, I do realize that with the study of classics that I already mentioned, so I'm going to be reading about Rider-Waite-Smith more, I'm going to be reading about Marseille, getting familiar with Marseille deck, the actual Marseille deck. I'm going to be reading more about Thoth because I have the Book of Thoth, and I also have the, what is it called? The lovely yellow orangey book. Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thought Tarot, I believe, written by Duquette. I'm going to be reading that and getting more familiar with the Thought deck, because there are plenty of things that are still hella confusing. Not gonna lie, I'm always trying to be real with you guys, so yeah. Thought deck is confusing, okay. So taking that into account, I know that it is not exactly possible to get to know these two strange decks to the real core this year. I mean, this is why I said that these goals that I'm talking about here are something that I'm kind of aspiring to start or bring into my practice. But it's not like I'm expecting to just know it all by the end of this year, because that would be just unrealistic expectation. And again, I do not like to make those, because then you are just setting yourself up for failure. And why would I do that to myself? Why would anyone do that to themselves? Don't do that to yourself, honey, okay? So I want to start getting to know these two decks a little bit. We will see how that goes alongside my studies of the classics. I'm going to be letting you know if you're interested. With all that being said, I'm going to proceed to my next tarot goal, and it is something that again kind of connects to all of the previous goals. See, there is just this huge topic for me in this particular tarot goals for 2025 kind of situation. So the next goal is start a tarot study journal. Now you might hear me say this and just tell yourself, well, that's kind of obvious. You already said you want to get more into studying the tarot systems and the new deck, so obviously you need a journal. Well, it might be obvious for some people, not so much for me, because I'm going to tell you something, okay, a little bit of a confession time. I actually do not have tarot study journal. I have tarot journal. I have two tarot journals. One is the small journal that is meant for the simple readings, the daily pulls that I am not doing currently. And then I have the big tarot journal that is for bigger events, as I mentioned. Something that's like very important for me, the situations I'm doing reading for that are a little bit more complex, something I want to come back to, review, reread. But I do not have a tarot study journal. And what do I mean by tarot study journal? I mean just a journal where you write about your tarot research and studies. Yeah, all these years when I was researching something about tarot or learning something about tarot, I would just usually keep it in my head and I wouldn't be writing it. And I really want to start writing about that research as well, because when you write something, you learn it better, you remember it a bit better. And also I have a photographic memory, so I am having a strong feeling that if I actually write something down and I reread it, I'm going to remember it better, because that's how my brain works. So I really want to start doing that. And especially right now, since again, I'm just tying everything together, since I'm starting these classical systems tarot studies and getting to know these new weird decks, I think tarot study journal would be handy. So that's something I definitely want to start. A little disclaimer again, I just want to say any sort of journal, whether it is the normal journal, the journal where you just write your emotions, stuff that happens to your thoughts, etc., or a tarot journal, whatever, you do not really need to spend a super huge amount of money for those. And I really need to say that because I would not like to promote that kind of consumption, you know. So all of my tarot journals are actually just pretty cheap, standard, totally normal, uninteresting journals that I just put stickers on. Just saying, you can just grab whatever journal you find and make it into your tarot journal. So fun! And the last goal that I'm going to mention in this video, the last goal that I came up with, it's again something that connects to all of the others. I really like to connect things because everything is always connected, isn't it? And okay, so the last goal is troubleshoot difficult cards or difficult messages. And by difficult messages, I mean, you know when you pull a card and you get a card that you are either not exactly familiar with or you don't really like to interpret because you are not exactly 100% sure how to interpret it. This is usually happening to me with a thought, and I made a video, a very fun tarot tag that I posted. I'm linking it somewhere. And I talk about some difficult cards there, some elusive cards. So what I want to do this year is that when I get one of those elusive cards, I do not want to pull a clarifying card because you know we all do that, don't we? It's like, no, I don't get this message exactly, let me reshuffle and let me get a clarifier. No, I will not be getting clarifiers. I'll be grabbing a book. I'll be grabbing a book and I'll be sitting with that card. I'll be sitting in that discomfort and I'll be researching that card instead of going, yeah, let me pull just one more, maybe I will get the message. No. I would do that a lot. This is really a confession video. This was supposed to be called Tarot Confessions video. So, but let me know down below if you do that as well. I mean, come on, I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one. Like, you pull a card, it's something not exactly clear to you, so you just pull another one to give it more context, and then you kind of make up something out of it. So I really aspire to do less of that this year and way more research. This is why I said it kind of ties to doing more tarot study and having a tarot study journal. And maybe if I pull a card that is confusing to me in some given situation, I can even go to my tarot study journal and read about it there. So how about that? How fantastic would that be? See? With that being said, let me finish my tea. I actually haven't finished it because this mug is huge. It's my favorite mug. Have I mentioned? I think I haven't. It's from Killstar. I'm always saying that, like, I bought this one, okay? But I always say it like, oh, it's from Killstar, it's so cool. I mean, it is. But it's not sponsored or anything. But it's so cool. It says never trust the living. And I always say this is my life motto, so yeah. So with that being said, these would be some of my tarot goals for 2025 and so on. Because as you can see, these goals are really not something that I just want to get done this year. The majority of these things is something that I want to either bring back or start. So yeah, let me know down below what are your tarot goals, if you have any, or if it's something you want to change in your tarot practice, or if you have any confession to make, since I already started confessing tarot stuff here. And if you like this video, please leave it thumbs up and consider subscribing. It would make me really happy. And I think that would be it from me, so stay kind and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye!